What's up, guys? My name is Brian Elwood, and I've made $2 million in the expert space from these 3 books. But most of the money did not come from book sales. It came from high ticket revenue from clients who read the books and then hired me for help. However, I would not have made any of that money without one other critical element in my ecosystem. It's not a book. It's called a VSL, or video sales letter. In this video, I'm going to show you my VSL, as well as the VSLs of some other guys and gals who are making millions of dollars in this expert coaching space. So you'll be able to actually see how this game really works. We're going to break down why you really need a VSL as part of your funnel or customer journey if you want to get more clients and make the quality of your sales calls a lot better. And lastly, I'm going to show you exactly how to create a VSL, the structure that you should use when you put your script together. And if you're new to all of this, don't worry. I didn't know I needed a VSL until honestly not that long ago. Not having a VSL would be kind of like if you went to a restaurant and they did not have a menu. Like imagine sitting there and they're like, what do you want to order? And you're like, well, what do you have? And they're like, well, what do you like? And just how awkward that would be. And just like a restaurant will often put their menu outside of the restaurant so you can read it before you even walk in and you can decide if this looks like something you would want, you want to put a VSL outside of having a call with you so that when someone decides to book a call, they've already read the menu and they're like, I like what I see. This sounds like a good fit for me. I think I'll probably order it. Let me go ahead and have a call to answer a few questions and take the final steps. Now, let me show you a few VSLs before we talk more theory, because I think this is going to help to connect the dots and show you why these are so powerful. So if you were to buy my book from my book funnel, first of all, you'd go to this page, which is the actual funnel itself. You know, you put your information in, there's upsells, and then on the thank you page, there's a video of me. It's about, 17 minutes long, so it's not like crazy. In this video is where I actually talk about what I've done and client case studies and my offer and what it includes and who it's for and who it's not for and the problem that it solves and the pain it helps you avoid. And then right here is where you click to book a call with me. And if you go to my YouTube videos, like this one I posted within the last week, I've got my book funnel link right here at the top of the description and then also in the pinned comment. But I've also got this VSL link right here as well. And so when you click this link, you go to this page where people watch a presentation. Now let's look at a couple of big names in the expert space and how they're using VSLs in their environment too. This is William Brown. He is a guy who sold his expert business for like tens of millions, and now he's an educator for coaches and consultants. And he publicly talks about how he makes $300,000 or $400,000 per month just from his YouTube channel, which is nuts, right? It's pretty cool. But if we were to click into his latest video here, then you see him spitting a bunch of game on his little whiteboard. And then what do you see at the top? Look, there's a link. So if we click this, where do we go? Look, it's a VSL. Here's how I might be able to help you, right? So we are deeper in his funnel, deeper in his ecosystem. We're like toeing the line of maybe working with him, right? And look what he's going into. His whole story, the proof of how much money he's made, who he can help, etc. And then after you watch that, you book a call with him. Another guy I like to learn from is Ravi Abuvela. If we are to click on his most recent video, let's see. Well, we have a link to a low ticket thing because he's specifically talking about a YouTube product in this video. So this goes to a low ticket thing, which I'm almost positive if I were to buy this, then he would funnel me to his VSL for his main offer on the thank you page. But look, we also, and this is a link that I've seen is on all of his videos. Some of them, this is the only link. It says how we can book you 5 to 10 qualified sales calls per day using a self-sustaining funnel. And then if we were to click this, this is Ravi's VSL, 13 minutes long. Right here, it says what he can do for you. Watch this video to see how it works. Click to schedule a demo call with his team. So now that you've seen a few VSLs, you're probably like, oh yeah, I know what you mean, Brian. I've seen those things before. I want to tell you a story of what my life was like before I used VSLs, because when I got in this coaching space, I had no idea what I was doing. I wrote this book, Fire Yourself. I, tried to use this to get my first clients. I had bigger problems, honestly, in that I really hadn't even put an offer together, which is the foundation of everything. Besides that, like the people that would get on the calls with me, it was just so random. Like we just talked about any and every goal that they had for their life. I was putting coaching packages together on the fly. Sometimes people got on the call and they said, I don't know why I'm here. Like they said, you messaged me on Facebook and I forgot what we talked about. I just saw this on my calendar and showed up. And I was like, okay. And, I didn't really know where to go from there. And then a lot of people just didn't sign up for my coaching because they, didn't really know what I had to offer. They told me they needed to think about it or talk to their wife. But truth is, they didn't want what I was selling. They didn't believe me or trust me. Honest truth about me is that I'm really not that good at sales. I've read sales books and I try to be better at sales, but for some reason, I just have always kind of butchered sales calls and I just teach too much and do all the things that you're not supposed to do. The thing that saved me when I started using VSLs is the VSL would actually check all those marketer like sales boxes. Like, oh, you got to state your credibility. You got to show proof. You got to show client case studies. You got to, agitate the pain that the person's feeling and state the benefits of your product, state who it's for and who it's not for. And like all those things. I know you've probably heard all this if you're drinking from the online marketing or the Russell Brunson fire hoses. I just had always forgotten to do all those things. I was just more like in the moment and, just working on my books and creating content and pouring it out from my heart and not really wanting to necessarily be this full-time online marketer guy. And because I'm that way, because I'm not that good at sales, for me to take sales calls with very cold prospects who had not watched a VSL, who had no idea how I could help them or what my offer was even like, that was asking way too much of a crappy sales guy like me. And that's why I bombed so many of those sales calls. And a lot of my clients, they're authors and they just really care about teaching and sharing their message. They aren't, the world's best marketers, nor do they want to become that. They don't want to get pulled in that direction too much. Putting a VSL before the sales call is like a saving grace for them because it does all that heavy lifting for them. It does all the best practices for marketing and sales so that you can get on the call and just answer questions. And the best part about it is you want to disqualify people who would not be a good fit on that VSL. You can do this by saying there are 3 types of people that this is not for. You can give price hints where you kind of suggest that it's a 5-figure investment or whatever it is, so that someone who doesn't have any money won't book the call, because there is nothing more frustrating and more draining and pointless than taking calls with unqualified people. Literally anything will make you more money than taking calls with those people. You could go drive for Uber. You can dig for coins inside of your couch, like anything but taking calls with the wrong people. All that does is kill your confidence and demotivate you, and it makes you feel like you wasted your day because you didn't do anything needle moving. You want to put things in place so that those people don't slip through, and a VSL is a big part of making that happen. A VSL is basically the natural transition from free and very low ticket stuff, like if you were to buy my book through my book funnel, to the paid offers, the real offers where you're getting the real help. Like instead of just trying to tell everyone about your offer on the call and then they show up like trying to take in all those details, or maybe they're surprised or shocked or something wasn't the way they expected it to be. They watch your VSL and they've got time to absorb all the details and to sleep on it and think about it before they actually take time to talk with you. In the industry, this is crazy. People that did not have VSLs close at 15 or 20%. But when people started putting a VSL before the sales calls, the close rate jumped as high as 40 to 60%. So we're talking more than 2 times as many of your calls will turn into clients when you put a VSL in front of your sales calendar. And it's not that hard to do. I mean, it takes you, a day to script it and maybe a day to film it and edit and post it in your funnel. It's really not that big of a deal. it is one of the most high leverage assets that you can have. And the cool part about it being short, you're going to need to like update this over time. You're going to realize that you need to, put something else in there, objection handling or whatever, case studies. You can just have one slideshow like you see mine here. And when I need to update this, which I'm almost to the point where I need to, I'm just going to go back to my Google slide deck and, add slides and change things out, and then just turn on Loom and film another version. I'll get that done in like just a few hours and I'll have my new VSL. So these things are not only powerful, but they're not that hard to create. One shift that I'll highlight that's happening in the expert and coaching space where the VSL becomes even more important, people are no longer just clicking on a Facebook ad and then buying a thing and then watching a webinar, signing up for a call and paying 10 grand for a program, especially if they've never heard of you. The market's become jaded. The sales cycle is much longer. Google found that people need to achieve what's called the 7-11-4 rule, which is 7 hours of content with a person across 11 touch points and 4 different formats before they will be comfortable enough to make a purchasing decision. Think about someone entering your ecosystem. Like maybe they find you on Instagram and then they watch some reels and then they get on your email list and then they find you on YouTube and then they, watch hours and hours of your videos. And then one day they click through this link, like you might have clicked through and looked at mine. And then you end up on this page and then you watch my VSL and you are just interested in what I do, but maybe you don't book the call that day and you're just marinating on it. You're just like kind of seeing your options and looking at the different things out there. This is like how a prospect can sort of date you before actually getting married, right? They're just staying in your ecosystem. They're just achieving the 7-11-4 rule. Do I like this person? The whole know, like, and trust thing. You have to make yourself known. And then if someone doesn't like you, they're not going to work with you, right? And whether or not that happens, I guess, is a bit out of your control. But then the trust one is huge, right? Do they actually trust you? And that comes from them consuming enough content and seeing enough examples to where they can eventually say, this person knows their stuff and I am comfortable making the investment with them because I feel like I'm going to get an outsized return on the time and money, energy that I put with this person. And because the market's like this, because the market wants to date before they get married, which they should, this is all good. You got to have your Tinder profile set up or whatever the analogy is, right? It's like give them a chance to check you out a little more intimately, like they will in your VSL, because that's when you're really putting your best foot forward. You're saying, okay, you're kind of pulling back the hood, like, here's what I've done, here's who I've helped, here's how I can help you, here's how it works. If you want to take the next step, click the button down below to book a call. And the last thing worth mentioning is that this just makes you look professional. It shows people that you have put time into creating a real offer, time into packaging and presenting it well. You don't want to just be like some random life coach that's just spamming LinkedIn and then with their calendar link, like book a call, let's chat, let's have coffee. Like that's just so random. I wouldn't even know what I was walking into. I want to know what the program is, how it works. I want to feel it out before I decide if it's a good fit for me. As I'm saying this, I really do this. Like I decide if something's a good fit for me before I talk to a salesperson, not while I'm talking to them. I don't want to decide while I'm talking to them. That would be awkward. Like I probably couldn't even process it in real time. If you feel the same way, just know that your prospects do too. They want to know more details so that they can say, this is what I've been looking for before they will actually commit to a call, because calls are kind of cringe, right? And they can be intimidating. You never know what type of person you're getting on the call with, if they're going to be one of those high pressure salesy type people and make you just want to never do one of those calls again. I get less booked calls on my calendar now than I did maybe 2 or 3 years ago. But here's the interesting thing. When people book a call with me, they're like, I read your book, I've been watching all your YouTube videos, and I watched your VSL, so I know what it is that you offer. I have a few questions if you don't mind me asking them. And I'm like, sure, fire away. Okay, so now that we've talked the philosophy and you see how they work and you understand why you could benefit from having a VSL in your ecosystem, let's talk about how to create one. Now, again, this is fairly simple. Here are the main components that you do not want to miss when you create your VSL script. The first thing is you open by just calling out the person and saying what you can do for them. So I might say, hey, if you're a coach or an expert who wants qualified sales calls hitting your calendar, if you want to create more trust and authority and amplify your brand, then I'm going to show you how I can install a system in your business that will amplify your authority, book more qualified leads, and get more high-ticket clients, all by using a book to amplify your brand and grow your credibility. That was pretty crappy off the cuff, but you get the point. You just call out the person and you say what you can do for them. And then you state the problem and you agitate it. So I might say, the problem is that people don't trust anyone in this market anymore. And people book sales calls and then they ghost you. No one has any idea how you can help them. And this all sucks because you got into the expert or coaching space with a big heart and you're ready to serve. But this marketing and sales part is just a pain in your butt and you're having to resort to cold outreach, you're having to go get a job or whatever. So I'm stating the problems that they're facing of basically not getting enough clients. And then you want to go into sharing your journey. So I'd be like, my name is Brian Elwood. I started in real estate investing. I flipped a bunch of houses, bought rentals. And then I got in the coaching space and I wrote my first book, Fire Yourself. When I first launched it, I didn't make any sales. I didn't get any clients. I didn't know what I was doing. And I tell the whole backstory behind my opportunity. So the thing that you're trying to sell, you tell your story about how you discovered it. Like if you're helping people with yoga, you'd say, hey, my name's Chris and I used to be overweight and I wasn't flexible and I didn't feel good and my wife wasn't attracted to me. It got serious quick. Then I one day ran into a friend who was going to a yoga class and I went and I almost fainted, but I felt better than I've ever felt when I was driving home. And I, kept going back. And then fast forward 2 years, I lost 50 pounds and I can touch my toes. And you want to tell your backstory relative to the new opportunity that you are presenting to them. Next, you want to present clear benefits. Okay. This was something that was really hard for me to grasp. Is that people do not want to hear about features. They want to hear about the benefits. You've heard the analogy before that people aren't buying the hammer, they're buying the hole in the wall that it can create, right? And so you always want to speak to the end outcome that your products provide. Like so many well-intentioned people will just go way into the features. Like when you buy my yoga thing, you're going to get so many pre-recorded classes and you're going to get a free yoga block and a strap. Don't do any of that. Instead, just focus on how is your wife going to, look at you now when you've got that fit yoga body? What are your friends going to think? How successful are you going to be in your business when you feel amazing every day and you're grounded and centered and present? So you just keep going deeper down the benefit chain till you get to more of the bigger, broader, more important outcomes. Those are the reasons why people will take their wallet out and buy, not because of a bunch of features. Now, you definitely want to address major objections that people will have to your thing. When I am like, you should publish a book and use that to get more customers, people will say, well, Brian, writing a book is ton of work. It sounds like way more than I have the time and energy for. And I'd say, well, that used to be true. But now that we have AI, especially those who have already created a bunch of content, we can take your existing content and rewrite it into a book in your own voice almost instantly using the supercomputers that we now have available to us. That gets people's attention. They're like, oh, well, now I don't have the objection of writing a book is a lot of work. But then they might have another objection like, well, I don't know how to sell my book. And then I've got to address that one as well. So pick the top 3 to 5 objections that people are going to have to your thing and address those in your VSL. Now, this next one's important. Before you actually give the call to action, you want to say who it's for and who it's not for. You are selling yourself the whole time and you're like, yeah, I do this and that and that and that. And then you kind of want to have a pump the brakes moment in your VSL where you're like, look, before you book a call, let me just tell you who this is for and who it's not for. For my VSL, I might say, this is not for brand new experts and coaches who do not have a track record. They don't have anything that they can help someone with. They have no idea what their niche is. That is not a good time to write a book. So therefore, you're not going to be the best fit to go through my program. Next, you want to include social proof. You want to say, hey, I worked with this client and that client and that client. Look, check out their books. Here's how much money they make now. And then people can see that your method doesn't just work for you, but it's worked for other people as well. And then the last thing before the CTA is you just talk about your offer. You say, here's my offer. Here's how it works. And you want to keep this very high level. You don't want to go into the weeds on features. Your process, maybe it's 3 to 5 steps. Just go over the steps and just say, here is what you get and here's why it matters, right? Like I might say, if we work together, I will take my entire funnel and email and automation sequences, and I will just copy that right into your account and go in and customize the whole thing for you. So you'll have a beautiful pre-built book funnel where you can just put your book in there and just start selling it right away. This type of thing would cost thousands of dollars to pay someone to design for you. But when you work with me, all of that is included. So I didn't go into the weeds, but I just stated this big thing that they get, why they should care, that sort of thing. And lastly, you want to end with a specific call to action. So you just want to say, if this sounds like a good fit for you, the next step is for you to click the button down below to book a call with me or my team. Tell them a little bit about what's going to happen on the call so that they know what to expect. But you just got to have that specific call to action at the end. Now, the last thing before I go is if you're an expert who wants to use a book to grow your expertise and get more clients, and you want my help to do that, then creating your VSL is one of the things that we do together. Not only do we actually script it together, and I give you the templates so you can create the slides really easily, but I also actually build your VSL funnel with you. So the technical funnel side of things gets handled as well. You can put this VSL into your content ecosystem right away, like before the book is even done, because it's just the final step to getting clients, and start getting clients right away with your VSL before you have the book and the funnel and you put the VSL on the thank you page and all that. And the irony here is that I'm going to have you click the link down below to watch my VSL, to learn about my program and how it works as the next step if you found that interesting. Thank you guys so much for being here, and I will see you in the next one.